I can go. I got a segment here. I'm pulling it directly from the most recent 14 Times magazine.
Ooh,
Beautiful,
love
good
that stuff they
subscription.
do. Love that thing
Yeah.
they do.
Gonna call this segment "It's the Pits."
You did say you had more whole content.
More whole content. Jordan had previously, if you're not aware, there is a print version of Werewolf Radar in
Correct.
Birdie magazine, which you can find online or in physical form if you live in the Denver and surrounding area.
You know, I'm gonna link that as well. I always forget. That's on me.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, at one point, Jordan did a segment on holes, and let's just call this the spiritual sequel, as found through 14 Times magazine.
Hell yeah. Holes are fascinating.
It's pretty insane. There's a lot of weird
human obsession with holes continues uninterrupted.
Yeah, a lot of this is about supposedly bottomless stuff. Here's some of the folklore segment of the article. In a practical sense, bottomless simply means that someone tried to establish the bottom depth and failed. Naturally, locals would be concerned about an open hole or pool they might fall into, so they'd logically attempt to plummet with an available oar or tree branch or sapling. Others will try dropping a weighted line and feeling for it to hit bottom. If those methods fail, then by default, the opening is declared bottomless. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of openings and water bodies were said at one time or another to be bottomless. Legends live on even into modern times when suitable technology can give us the real answer, which is sometimes ignored in lieu of the far more entertaining myth. The bottomless pit has long been a recognized supernatural trope. It frequently includes additional dramatic features such as having bizarre inhabitants, emitting strange sounds, or having strange or paranormal properties.
Yeah. There's of course there's something down there.
Yeah, there has to be. Why else would there be a hole?
Yeah.
William Corliss, a collector of anomalies, wrote that accounts of such pits, quote, smack of sensationalism and must be taken with several grains of salt. And of course, bottomless pits cannot be discussed without a mention of their connection to hell and damnation. Any body of water without a discernible depth will frequently be associated with the imaginative interpretation that it has an outlet or tunnel to another water body or the sea, sometimes hundreds of miles away. Even if a lake has an established floor, local tales often mention a cave passage somewhere within the perimeter where the true danger lurked. Swimmers are warned of the peril from the icy cold swell or sucking whirlpool. Bottomless Lake State Park in New Mexico has 8 lakes that acquired their name when local herdsmen could not discern the bottom via ropes. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit just to some holes that you might need to know about. Maria Bonaparte noted that the idea of the unfathomable was almost always applied to still waters, not to oceans or rivers. The ocean, while clearly deeper, moved, ebbed, and flowed. Rivers, too, were in motion and occasionally revealed their bottoms. But stagnant waters have always made us uneasy with their silence, which is a fact. I'm far more scared of some brackish swamp water hiding a weird creature.
That's true. Still water for sure.
I literally think that there's a swamp thing humanoid in the swamps. I've heard so many weird tales from Cajun people about things in the swamp. What was that one that we just talked about? LaGrange?
Oh, Grunch? Yeah, the Grunch.
Yeah. And what was the other one? The Lugaru?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of Lugaroos down there, but
the Rougarou is specifically like
a
New Orleans kind of swampy werewolf lore.
It's something that I'm sure can kill, let's say, your beloved, and then run off into the swamp, and then just go like, I can hold my breath, and then just goes down.
Yeah, making some horrifying whooping sound.
I like how I gave him the jaunty walk. He's all like, I killed your beloved.
I think that is more of a horrifying bounding, but now that you say it, it was pretty marching bandy.
Yeah, I was definitely picturing Roger's River with like a flat cap.
Yeah.
A plaid cabbie cap.
Yeah, this wolf's gotta fly. Wolves don't fly. And did you guys see that video on Reddit of the guy feeding like a goat leg to a gigantic crocodile?
And
nope.
He walks up to this ditch, I guess you would call it. It's a relatively large groove in the ground that has been filled with water, but it's kind of a long channel thing. And he slaps this goat leg on the still water a couple of times, and this fucking chute of water erupts. It is so prehistoric and so terrifying to watch this thing move what must be 3,000 pounds of water around it with just one thrust of a fucking tail that's as long as it is. It's terrifying.
Jesus.
This is just what Americans have in their backyard, huh?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the whole thing felt very Australian, but
when still, like, when you have
Sure.
people like this, maybe get a gun. I'm not saying, I'm not fear mongering for like weapons, but like,
sure. Or at least
just
learn
in
how
case.
to smudge.
Yeah.
Buff yourself, buff your family. Spring for the shaman.
Smudge yourself. Bonaparte, that's the Marie Bonaparte, wrote that a correspondent told her of Welsh legends in which the lakes had their own personalities and might resent being measured.
Whoa.
The legend, yeah. The legend of Bala Lake, or it's Welsh, but I think it's Llyn Tegid,
Yeah, okay.
in Wales, tells of the voice of the lake crying out, quote, "Line cannot fathom me. Go
Wow.
or I will swallow you up."
Whoa.
And no one tried since.
Fucking cool.
Bala Lake also rumored to hold a dragon.
Damn. We gotta get to this lake. What's Baller Lake is right.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
it
ballin'.
deserves all the grills. This is ballin' tenfold.
Truly.
Lake Vulea Mini in Greece was said to suck people in via a whirlpool, or they might be nabbed by the evil fairy folk living at the bottom. The lake had formed from a cavern roof collapse after an earthquake some 2,000 years ago. No one had managed to sound the bottom because it was part of an extensive cave system that continued under the mountain. Some divers trying to explore the underwater caves have perished.
Ooh,
Nice.
hate to hear it.
Yeah.
That's-
This
I
was
mean,
the
that's
body
Yeah, I
count.
hate to hear it.
That licking your lips.
You mean there's a corpse in a waterway I can
Ooh.
retrieve?
Ooh,
Ooh, free
Brian Diver,
corpses.
my favorite.
Diver. That's one of the scariest deaths that I can imagine is like those fucking subterranean caves that
Oh,
people
God.
slip through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cave diving
Ooh.
is extremely dangerous because you can knock
Ooh.
over a rock out of nowhere / run out of air because you don't know how long
Yeah.
the
Not to mention
tunnel is, and
fucking countless aquatic bandersnatches.
besides the bandersnatch, you don't know which way's up and which way's down when you're in those caves. It's
You gotta-
crazy.
You gotta have one of those ropes. What do they call them?
Damn. The up and
rope.
down rope.
A gravity
God.
rope is what I call them.
Gravity rope.
No, you're just talking like a rope. That way you know where you came
Yeah. They're like a candy trail.
from. You were thinking like leave a Hans and Gretel
Yeah,
type
yeah,
trail
yeah,
out
yeah.
of the cavern.
My boy
But those
Hans.
goddamn fish keep eating the sweets.
All these damn sea witches gobbling up all my sweets.
Michel Morger eruditely wrote about the tradition of lake monsters in Europe and North America in his book, Lake Monster Traditions. Two qualities of a lake, he observed, indicated the almost certain presence of a legendary monster. First,
Okay.
Yep, these are the two
Confident.
things that you need to know about lakes to know if there's a monster.
He's going in
Number
with that
one.
fucking Pokemon game guide confidence.
Number one, dark water,
Sure.
period.
Natch.
Yeah, Loch Ness, got it.
Loch Ness.
What's the where's Champy at? Sorry. Champlain.
Champlain.
Loch Champlain.
Second, if it's deemed unfathomable,
Oh,
as bottomless represents an unknown, it's a small leap of thought to assume the presence of monsters. We find many legends of bottomless lakes associated with a resident monster. Glacial lakes can be particularly steep-sided and deep. They talk about Loch Ness a little bit.
It's
Okay.
deep. It's not
Which-
unfathomable, but
sure,
it
they
is deep.
fathom that shit. They fathom that shit every couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do they do a like a by
Their annual fathoming.
yeah.
Exactly.
They have to find a virgin child and sacrifice it to
Have
the
you
loch.
gone to the fathoming? Of course I am. I'm wearing my fathoming kilt, aren't I?
The characteristic of bottomless is also associated with the idea that a lake does not give up its dead. This is suggestive of some evil entity or of the lake itself as a living thing that takes sacrifices.
Yeah.
Not so many decades ago, Llyn Dwlyn of Snowdonia, North Wales, was regarded as a dangerous bottomless lake where evil creatures would reach up from the depths and drag people down into the dark waters
Oh,
Sweet metal.
it's pretty sweet and metal.
of Snowdonia.
Pretty scary, though.
The many superstitions associated with the lakes were bolstered by actual tragedies that happened there. The glacial cirque Black Lake bottoms out at about 190 feet. In the Mabinogion, translated by Lady Charlotte Guest, this is a book that if you haven't got it on your shelf, you should get it there. It's full of all kinds of crazy shit.
Cool.
It was said that fish in the lake are strange and deformed, that birds do not visit it. This idea is invalidated by the fact that perfectly fine brown trout and char do live in the lake. Birds may be uncommon on the lake for other reasons, perhaps because of the high surrounding cliffs. Lake Ronkonkoma is the
Silly.
the biggest and deepest lake of Long Island, New York.
Oh,
Natives thought the
Nice.
lake was
That's here.
bottomless. Yeah, we're in the States. Once
Are you
again.
in? That explains why you're in a lake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Natives thought the lake was bottomless because the bodies of those who drowned there were not always recovered. Even though the lake is only at most 70 feet deep, the myth persists. Again, the lack of visibility in the lake is such that an object or person submerged 10 feet or more disappears from the view of the surface observer.
Wow.
Knucker holes are bottomless ponds that do not freeze or dry up. The term is used primarily in Europe. These legendary spots might hold healing waters or a dragon. The name comes from the Old Saxon word Nikor.
Roll the dice.
Oh, you said 15?
Okay, Grandma, we're pretty sure that this hole will either cure your arthritis or
Summon Lafir,
Or you
the
won't be
Welsh
worried
dragon
about
of fear.
it won't be it'll be the least of your problems.
it. The name comes from the Old Saxon word Nikor, meaning water spirit or monster. It's not clear if the Knuckers made the holes or just found them convenient places to occupy. They can be dangerous as the water is constantly cold and the sides may be steep, making it hard to climb out. A Knucker hole in Burgess's Field, Binstead, Sussex, was once pumped dry. The men saw the muddy bottom, but assumed the resident monster was hiding under the mud as the groundwater continually flowed in. Knucker holes are springs. They're usually around 20 feet across, but the water remaining at a constant level, suggesting a large or distant recharge area. There are famous Knucker holes at Lyminster, Lancing, Shore, Worthing, and other flat areas of the South Downs. In Something, local lore from the 1940s describes a very dangerous bottomless hole that swallowed a cart, horse and all.
Crazy. Scary.
The Madonna Pond in Binstead was said to be haunted by the coach and horse that fell in and were never retrieved. In Lyminster, people tried to find the bottom of the local hole by tying the 6 bell ropes of the church together. No luck. Divers eventually discovered it was about 30 feet deep.
Then where's all this shit going?
But
Is it?
that
It has to
failed
be a
us-
different salinity, or what is it called? Like too much salt or something to where like it's, or too little to where it's not as buoyant as other lakes, so it just like sinks. That has to.
yeah,
be it.
the mud at the bottom is, you could swim through it, I think.
Yikes.
Oh, that's
So shit, yeah,
thin
just
mud.
like, yeah.
Hmm.
That failed to squelch the rumor of the hole's unfathomable depths. So even though they knew, they were still like, wow, it's bottomless. Like a mimosa. Attempting to feel the bottom of a knucker hole with a weighted line is likely to be unsuccessful due to the combination of the upwelling water and the soft mud floor. Then we get to some hell holes and hoax holes. And hey, if you're a member of the Dark Council, we've already talked about one hell hole in this week's Grave Nugget. So, you know, good on you for maintaining the theme.
Formerly
the
known as
two
Mel's
episode hole.
hole. He got written out of it.
Belongs to the government now.
Mm-hmm.
The bottomless pit or abyss is mentioned in Revelation 9 in the Bible as a direct passage to hell at the center of the earth. In Revelation 20, an angel throws Satan in the form of a serpent or dragon back into the pit before sealing it. There are many stories that suggest the passage to hell still exists. The Udig marshland of Yunilles in Brittany, France, is loaded with legends and lore of a bottomless bog, which is said to be an entrance to hell that swallows damned souls. Priests sent the demons from exorcisms into black dogs, which were then forcibly drowned in the bog.
Oh,
Crossing a bog. Yeah.
Crazy.
this is why you have, those Britain black dog omen curses all around the land.
Yeah, they're all the black dogs have a demon, but they still have room for one more.
Sure.
Crossing a bog is treacherous as apparently dry land can suddenly turn liquid. The Udig was also home to ghost lights. These mysterious flames may have formed from an unknown reaction of swamp gases, though locals thought of them as will-o'-the-wisp spirits or fairies that lured people to their doom. Gas release probably accounts for the stories of the swamp boiling and bubbling. This is a really fun one. A legendary bottomless pit that was said to have released demons and monsters was situated beneath Huska Castle in the Czech Republic.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, this one.
I mean, that is where you want them, I
Pretty-
guess.
Brad, I got a little bit more on this thing because it sounded crazy.
Yeah.
This is we're jumping over to trebohems.com. At first glance, the castle seems quite ordinary, but upon closer inspection, one notices a few strange features. Firstly, many of the castle windows are actually fake.
What?
If you look closely, you'll see that most of the windows are merely facades, glass
Whoa.
panes behind which sturdy walls are built. Secondly, the castle has no fortifications, no water source, no kitchen, and for years after it was constructed, no occupants. This makes it clear that Huska Castle was not built as a protective sanctuary or a residence.
Yeah, what
The location of the castle is also peculiar. It's situated in a remote area surrounded by thick forest, swamp, and sandstone mountains. It has no strategic value and is not situated near any trading routes. Many people wonder why Huska Castle was built in such a strange location. Ancient legends may be able to answer that question.
All right.
According to
Hit us
folklore.
up.
According to folklore, Huska Castle was constructed over a large hole in the ground, which was known as the Gateway to Hell.
Wow.
It is fabled that the hole was so deep that no one could see the bottom of it. Legend has it that half animal, half human creatures used to crawl out from the pit at night, and that black winged creatures used to attack locals and drag them down into the hole.
Just like Mouse Hole.
Yeah, that's
Just like
just
Mel's
exactly
Hole.
what I was gonna say.
Although this one doesn't
Listen
appear
to the
have
Grape
any,
Nugget. Join our Patreon because
This is crazy.
Nate brought us a crazy Grape Nugget about
Because
Mel's
this is
Hole.
crazy. Yeah. This
which
and
has-
it's all lining up too.
Yes, it's all lining up. Go on, Nate.
This one doesn't seem to have transmutative properties, however.
It has transmutated creatures already.
Yeah, how would it, of course it does. They're walking out of it on the rag. Those are tumor
Okay.
seals if I've ever heard of one.
It's believed that this castle was built to keep evil in. The location of the castle was specifically chosen in order to cover this mysterious pit from which the demonic creatures emerged at night. The castle's chapel was specifically built directly over the bottomless pit in order to seal the evil in and keep the demonic creatures from entering our world. But even today, over 700 years after the pit has been sealed, visitors still claim to hear the scratching of creatures from the lower floors at night, trying to claw their way to the surface.
Holy
you
Others,
fuck.
yeah.
Could you imagine being like a squire, join the knighthood, and this
Yes.
is like your
And you're
first
You're sent to
this is-
Huska Castle.
Oh, I'm very
And, like,
excited
they're
to go to
putting-
Huska Castle West. My room is in the basement.
and they're putting in like the trebuchet inside the castle, and you're like, why?
Shouldn't we be fortifying the outsides of the castle? Oh, I'm being lowered in some sort of a cage, am I? Gosh, I like being a squire.
Oh, just give it one more paragraph and we'll get to the lowering of men.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
Come on!
Others claim to hear a chorus of screams coming from beneath the heavy floor.
Fuck.
When the construction of the castle began, it said that all the village's prisoners who had been sentenced to death were offered pardons if they agreed to be lowered by rope into the bottomless pit
Well,
and then to report back what they saw.
fuck. This is an Evil Dead movie. This is a sequel to fucking Army of Darkness, is what this is.
The first man was tied up and lowered into the hole, and a few seconds after he disappeared into the darkness, he began screaming in horror.
Good God.
He-
Good
He
God.
begged to be pulled back up. When the prisoner, who was a young man, was pulled back up to the surface, he looked as if he'd aged 30 years in a few
What?
seconds that he was in the pit. His hair had turned white and he'd grown extremely wrinkled. He was still screaming when they pulled him to the surface. He was so disturbed by what he experienced in the darkness that he was sent to an insane asylum where he died 2 days later from
Holy
unknown causes.
Fuck. That
What's in these
Kuska
holes?
Castle. What is happening in the holes?
No one knows, man. Scary shit.
What is it
And if that wasn't
beneath our feet?
Like,
according to legends,
is it hell or whatever various religions call it? Like, did he see demons flying? And
This sounds pretty hellish.
that would age me.
It ages you. Whoa, pushing that boulder alone will add 10 years.
Says according to legends, scratching of winged creatures trying to claw their way to the surface can still be heard. Phantoms seen walking the empty halls, and if the evil hadn't been fully formed, Nazis, of course, when they took Czechoslovakia, specifically chose Huska Castle in order to harness the powers of hell for themselves.
Good God. So over here you have an evil castle, yeah? We would like to take a look. Just nothing evil, nothing evil.
It's appeared on multiple television programs where this article says it's been concluded that it is in fact haunted.
Okay. They concluded that, huh? Figured it out.
Someone had to.
Finally. Well, that's the end of our podcast forever, everyone.
Ghosts are
figured it
real.
out.
We're gonna let the scientists deal with it from this point on.
Ghosts are real. We knew it. The government has finally made a UFO wing. Oh, that's from the news.
That's
Go watch
a
us.
tidbit.
Go listen to the tidbits.
There's a little bit more to the article, but it's not as great as we'll
Fucking
end
hell.
with the House
Yeah.
of Castle. So that is the end of the segment. It's the pits.
It's the pits.
A review of hellish holes.
Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
fear the ground beneath your feet.
Stay away from the holes.
Stay away from the ground. Everyone get off of the ground.